Hello lads, and welcome back to yet another video. Today we are talking about this. Now this, as you may or may not already know, is called the Logitech G Pro X Superlight, and I've been using this exact mouse for 159 days now, and I'm going to tell you the ins and outs of this mouse, how it's held up, is it still worth buying. So I'm going to start off this long-term sort of review by stating what I was worried about when I got the mouse at first and how that has panned out in the long term, and if there are any worries or concerns I still have with the mouse to this day. So guys, originally when I bought this mouse, I thought it was a lot of money to pay for a mouse, which it actually is, because $150 or around about £130 in the UK is still quite a lot of money to be paying for any type of mouse. But I decided to bite the bullet and go ahead and try it out, and worst case scenario, I would return it if I didn't like it. So just a little backstory: before I actually bought this mouse, I was using another mouse called the Logitech G502 Lightspeed, and this is basically the wireless version of the G502, and as you guys can see, it is currently low on battery. Do excuse the little dust and debris on it because it has been sitting on a shelf for a long while. So this G502 Lightspeed did come in at around nearly 2 times the weight of the G Pro X Superlight, which comes in at 60 grams on the dot. So due to the very big difference in weight, I didn't know if I would like this mouse or if I had gotten used to the heavier mouse over the long period of time I had been using it. So that was my original concern, and to be completely honest guys, the first day or two I did use this mouse, I didn't like it at all. I thought it was too light for my likings, and I just thought that it was just throwing my aim off completely, which was true for the first 2 days, I would say. And then after that I slowly started getting used to it, and by the end of the week, so by the end of the 7-day period, I did get fully used to it. And the other concern I had, that this mouse only has 2 side buttons, 2 programmable side buttons, which this mouse, if you guys know anything about this mouse, has 11 programmable buttons. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then we have 9, 10. I don't know where the 11th one is actually, but there's 11 buttons on here. So I thought that 2 buttons on this mouse would also cause me a headache, which it did for the first 2 weeks, I would say. But then I started getting used to using more of my keyboard and just using these 2 buttons. I do understand that the old G Pro did have 2 buttons on the right hand side as well. Obviously, as you guys can see, there are no buttons on the right hand side of this mouse. So do bear that in mind. The weight and the lack of buttons, should I say, is something you're going to need to get used to. But however, other than that, I haven't had any other problems with this mouse. One more thing I did want to mention that was my main concern was that this mouse actually does come in at 60 grams, and once I started using this mouse, it did feel, I don't want to say cheap, because the actual plastic used on this mouse does not feel cheap, but because of the weight, it did feel cheap. I felt like I paid £130 for a very, very light piece of plastic, and I thought that due to the sheer weight of this mouse, I thought this would not be very durable, because obviously it doesn't weigh much. I thought it would be plasticky, it would be light, it would be easy to break. However, to my surprise, I'm not sure what type of Wakanda vibranium sorcery this mouse is made out of, but this is built like an absolute tank. It's one of the best built mice I've actually tried. So just to show you how strong this mouse actually is, I'm going to go ahead and do a little stress test for you guys. So I'm going to go ahead and do a quick stress test on this mouse, and you tell me how many creaks and sounds you hear from it. So let's go ahead and so just in case you guys think I'm not trying and this is just for video, I'm going to go ahead, just look at my, so yeah, just very, very well built. Obviously if you press on the buttons they make noise, but the actual shell itself, nothing, literally no creaks, even on the side, no creaks, and I'm squeezing it full force for you guys. No creaks whatsoever. So very, very, very well built, to say the absolute least. No concerns in terms of durability at all. After doing a few stress tests on it, that thought was eradicated out of my mind. This is a very well built device. So next I want to talk about the skates it comes with. So you could replace this puck with another actual skate, and you can basically add the surface area of the skates on the bottom of the mouse. I'd done that, it didn't really make a difference, so I just chucked it aside. But my point being is that the skates on this mouse are excellent as well. They're not just your average pair of skates, they're very, very good. As an example, I'm just going to go ahead and show you guys here. I'm not sure if that shows you anything, but the skates on this mouse are fantastic, and they just slide forever. You could get some aftermarket skates for it if you want, but I have not found the need to put some aftermarket skates on them because they are fantastic. The fact that the skates are so slippery and the actual weight of the mouse, they combine to make a very, very special combo. Whenever you're aiming, you genuinely don't feel like there's a mouse in your hand. Obviously, you can feel the mouse in your hand, but what I'm trying to explain to you guys is that the amount of friction and the sheer weight of the mouse make it feel like there's hardly anything in your hand, which after you get used to it is a very, very, very good bonus. However, some people may still prefer a heavier mouse. I'm not sure if that's you. Some people have reported that the old G Pro mice did have an issue where you would click once and it would register the click as a double click. I have had no issues whatsoever with this mouse in terms of it double clicking and any of those type of quality control issues. And I have done a bit of research to see if anyone else has, and I haven't heard of anyone having that issue on this mouse. And a side note on something I thought wasn't as important but still needed a very good mention is the scroll wheel. So I came from a scroll wheel such as this. And bear in mind, this is not a cheap mouse. This is, I believe, still around about $130 to $150. So I was working with that. And now that I've moved to the Superlight X, the scroll wheel sounds like this. So I'm going to go ahead and do that next to the microphone so you guys can hear it better. The old G Pro mouse did have a RGB logo on the bottom. However, this mouse has no RGB lights on it whatsoever, which I don't really care for, to be completely honest. The only little light it does have is there's a small little light right underneath the two buttons, which is basically for charging and low battery and that kind of stuff. So no RGB on the mouse at all. So if you are a fan of RGB, obviously this mouse doesn't have any. And I am a very, very big fan of the design aesthetic of this mouse, in terms of it looks very clean, very minimal, and nothing too gamery, if you know what I mean. Not all those fancy colors that, oh, look at me, I'm a gamer type of thing. This is just a nice, clean looking mouse, which I do thoroughly enjoy. So let's go ahead and move on to things I don't like so much about this mouse. So there aren't many, because I do really like this mouse. However, can I ask, what on earth is this? Explain to me, what in the Spider-Man world is this? Huh? I mean, this is genuinely not necessary. On what world, yeah, you tell me. On what world is that type of a charger a thing? No other mouse has this type of dodgy Spider-Man looking cable, okay? I don't know what these lot were thinking, yeah? But this is not it. And one more thing. You see that? That is what we call micro USB. It's not even USB-C. I don't understand why a mouse costing $150, yeah, one of the most expensive gaming mice on the market, does not come with USB-C. Yeah, that makes no sense whatsoever. It's 2021, nothing should be micro USB. Nothing, and I mean nothing. Even this mouse is, as you guys can see, micro USB. And this is a relatively new mouse as well. But we're talking about this mouse here. Why is this not micro USB? I mean, why is this not USB-C? Makes everyone's lives easier, can use different cables as well. This is something I do not want to use, okay? So I do have to mention that the charging solution on this mouse is atrocious. There isn't any wireless charging either, which isn't really a big deal. I mean, the mouse itself doesn't have any wireless charging support, in terms of you can't just put it on any random wireless charging pad and it'll charge it. It won't do that. However, you can buy a wireless charging dock for it, and that is, you could call that a wireless charger, which you basically just dock the mouse and it charges. So it does support that, but in terms of wireless charging in general, it doesn't support. Whilst we're on the topic of charging, let me go ahead and talk about the battery life. Actually, the battery life on this thing is amazing. Not even just for the weight of the mouse. I mean, in general, the battery life on this is amazing. I would genuinely get around a month's worth of use of this mouse, using it every day. Obviously, I'm not at my computer 10 hours a day, but if I use this mouse every day, I still get an easy month's worth of charge. And finally, I want to talk about the shape. The shape itself is pretty universal. I use a claw grip, which is something like that, and I do move around, and I don't find any issues with aiming and shooting and all that kind of stuff. So for me, the shape is fine. However, I do know that some people don't really like the shape, but for most people, as I said, the shape is perfectly fine. It is a pretty universal shape. The shape will be alright for most people. So finally, let's go ahead and move on to, do I recommend buying this mouse in 2021 and further on? After using it for around about 5 months, I would say I would 100% recommend this mouse if you don't mind spending the extra buck on a mouse, because this mouse, let me be clear guys, this mouse isn't the best value for money mouse. There are mice out there that do offer better value for money, such as, let's see, the Model O wireless. And if you want a wide version of a very light mouse, you can get the Endgame XM1R, and those two mice are also fantastic value for money buys. However, if you do not mind spending the extra little bit of cash and getting, in my opinion, the best of the best, obviously personal preference obviously, but for me the best of the best mouse, and for many others the best of the best wireless gaming mouse, is this G Pro X Superlight. However, again, if you do care about value for money, there are better alternatives out there. The two that I mentioned, there are more alternatives. The two that I mentioned though, the Model O wireless and the XM1R. So if you do care about value for money, do research about those two mice. If you do not care about value for money and you just want the best mouse out there, this mouse is definitely at the top of the list for me. So again, thank you very much for watching guys. I hope this video did help you. Long-term review of this mouse in general, just a great mouse, very durable, solid, doesn't let me down, works day in day out, fantastic glides, just a great mouse overall guys. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope you guys have a lovely day. Bye bye.